Hello again. Today I'm going to show you two bows from Merlin Archery. Now I've chosen two simple bows because it can be quite daunting looking at archery equipment for the first time, especially for children. And these are a good low-cost starter bows, and I'm going to give you a demonstration today for you to see whether this is suitable for your children, show you some differences and hopefully give you a more informed choice. The first one I'm going to show you is the Bear Scout compound bow, and the second one is the Goblin recurve bow. But first things first, these are most definitely not toys. They may be made for children, fairly low power, certainly safe when used responsibly, but you must supervise them all of the time. And with that warning out of the way, let's get on and show you these products. Well, I've already opened these packs. They come blister packed with a basic quiver, simple tab, basic bracer, and an arrow rest and a sight, which we'll fit on later. The compound bow also comes with an owner's manual that shows you how to convert that bow to left-handed should you need to. The Goblin bow is ambidextrous completely, so it doesn't matter whether left or right-handed on this bow. This bow can be converted, so it still doesn't matter on this. Each bow has two 5-glass arrows, quite a tough arrow, and they have metal points on the arrows if you was wondering, so you get those closer up, and which allows them to stick in the targets nice. Pretty much the same with the other bow, as I said, exactly the same quiver, simple bracer, tab, sight and arrow rest. I'm going to start by setting up the Scout bow, and you do exactly the same with the Goblin bow as you would with the Scout bow. So each bow comes with one of these arrow rests, and these do break and wear out, so it is certainly worth getting some spare ones of these. I think they're less than £1 on our website. Double-sided tape. Take the double-sided off and just stick it on the side of the bow here. So this is set for a right-handed archer, and a right-handed archer holds the bow in the left hand and will draw the bow back with the right hand, so the arrow rest sits on the left side. Now fitting the sight, sometimes the sight is more hassle than it's worth. The kids do shoot better without a sight, just using the arrow to aim, but if you do put it in, push the first nut through the slot with another nut to hold it in position there. Bit fiddly to get on, and then the pin on the same must poke out on the same side as the arrow rest. Spin that through. There we go, and then when it's in position, use the finger nut to tighten it all up. And there we go. And one final thing that's worth doing on these bows is that when you fit an arrow on the bow, by putting it on the string and resting it on the arrow rest, you don't know whereabouts your child might slide this arrow up and down the string. So we need a marker on the string, somewhere to identify where the arrow goes each time. And the best thing to do is use a bit of masking tape on there. So you would judge the arrow to be approximately 90 degrees or slightly above 90 degrees in relationship to the bowstring. And then the best thing I've come across is use a bit of masking tape. When your arrow's in position, just roll a bit around the string. And that would act as the top knocking point, and exactly the same underneath for a bottom knocking point. And what that'll do, it'll give a consistent place to put the arrow each time on the bow. The Goblin bow is now set up exactly the same way as the Scout, with the arrow rest, pin sight and a masking tape knocking point. So let's get this ready to shoot. We've got the quiver, I've just gone and got a belt for it, slotted on the back. Now, because I've got two bows, we're going to use 4 arrows. You only get 2 arrows with each bow. Might be worth getting some spare arrows. because they do like to disappear in the bushes. And now what I need is an archer. Now, in order to test these bows, I'm a bit big, so I've got an assistant here. Someone called Ethan, who's been shooting all his life, well, most of his life, 7 years old, and he's going to give them a test and his opinion on them.
Hello.
So we're going to use the arm guard. Let's put your arm guard on your left arm, because he's right-handed. Strap that around. And the finger tab is always too big for young children, and it gets in the way, it flaps about. And using the masking tape on the strings is a lot softer on the fingers. We're not going to bother with that. Okay, we'll put that belt on around you.
Oh, that's cold, that's cold.
It'll warm up. We're ready for action. So we've set up a foam target in our garden. We're standing about 5 meters away from the target. There's nobody around, nice and safe. Let's see what you can do, Ethan. Nice shot. That's good. Occasionally, because the arrows are quite heavy, sometimes you might get bouncers out of the target. So you don't want to stand right in front of the target in case the arrow bounces out. But 5 meters for this power of bow is a good distance. And we got one in the yellow. Good shot. Let's show you that one. 3. Now we've got Ethan with the Scout compound bow. A compound bow is more difficult to pull for the first few inches, but once it's pulled back it drops off to an even lower poundage. You might see from the video that the arrows come out faster, they stick in the target better. It's more of a powerful bow.
In the yellow.
Not just for the kids. Woohoo! 2 in the yellow.
I won.
You won.
Yay!
Beaten by a 7-year-old.
I'll do that again. I like shooting both of them, but I think the Scout compound bow is the best because it's got more power and more speed and it's easier to pull back.
There we have it. That's our review of the Scout bow and the Goblin bow. Bows themselves are great, good fun. Arrows are good, but the parts that come with the bows not so good. The quiver got a hole in it straight away, and the finger tab isn't much use either. But apart from that, for the price, fantastic fun. I'm sure you'd enjoy them.